Showy helmets have just launched their first augmented reality integrated motorcycle helmets. Google has released Gemini 3 and Nano Banana Pro. So we're going to show what that looks like. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Autonomous Income. I'm your co-host, Deuce Noble.
And I'm your co-host, DJ. What's up today, Deuce?
Hey, DJ. We're in this world, and this race is getting real thick in the AI world. It is coming close to the end of this year, 2025. When I tell you it's been a tight race between a lot of companies, we're going to go through it. However, some of the things we're going to bring. Showy helmets have just launched their first augmented reality integrated motorcycle helmet. So we're going to talk about that, unpack that, what that looks like. Also, Google has released Gemini 3 and Nano Banana Pro. So we're going to show what that looks like, see what that has entailed in the new updates with that. And what else we got, DJ? What else you got on the docket?
And there's a few things. Definitely talking about some of the new models, but also we want to get into some of the intricacies that are going on right now, like the reported deal between Apple and Google on some of their AI. As you know, we want to definitely get into that and what that means for all of us iPhone users and as well. And in addition to that, we also want to get into some of the new things that are going to occur. So you have AI agents that are handling shopping for individuals, but then you have SEO that's been traditionally, thing that's optimized for that. So it's kind of like now there's like SEO versus AIO. So we're going to get into a lot of that, what that means, because AI typically doesn't care about advertising and all of these other things. So what does that mean for advertising on digital platforms going into the future?
No, man, no, I think these are all great. So let's go ahead and get started. You know what? Let's go ahead and start with Showy and see what that new helmet looks like, right? Of course, like I said, Showy launches the world's first fully integrated helmet with augmented reality. So essentially what that would look like is a helmet with a visor that has a heads-up display. Sounds absolutely futuristic and super cool for those who do ride motorcycles and maybe who don't. This might be a reason to get into riding motorcycles. I mean, hopefully not just a helmet, but this helmet is tech and it is advancing quickly, right? So we've seen helmets that promise blind spot detection or elimination and filters certain things like the air you breathe. But however, this one is the world's first fully integrated augmented reality helmet. So Showy has partnered with France's iLights company, and it's really, really sweet. So this here shows, an image of, a call coming in and how fast you're going, what time it is. It's really a heads up display. DJ, you've rode before. How beneficial do you think this is for you?
Man, I love it, man. I love the idea of this, and it almost makes me, I'm not going to go out and get a bike right now, but if I did go back to riding, man, I would definitely try to get one of these helmets, because one of the things was like previously, at least when I was riding, is just like you get a call from a family member or anything like that. I mean, like, some of the helmets do have Bluetooth, of course, where you can answer, and that was some of the things before. Yeah. But if you start off with like a basic helmet, you don't have any of those things, right? You got to stop. You might be at a light, trying to pull out your phone, see who's calling you, or watches. And you have a little bit more technology now, but all of that takes your focus kind of off of the road. The only thing I worry about is it's like, you are paying attention. And one thing with motorcycle riders, usually in accidents, it's not usually the motorcycle list that causes that, because we got really good field of view and like, all these things. It's like other vehicles that's on the road. But I'm wondering if, if this is going to distract, like how often that these things are available, if you can opt out from turning some of the things on. Yeah. But I do love the fact that, like you can, that it gives you those visuals and everything like that, even speed. Like I think that the execution, at least from right now, looks really good. Weather, all that information, like I think that's pretty cool.
So, some of the things that they add, especially with distractions, it allows you to simply keep your eyes on the road. You're not gazing down at the dash or handlebar mounted phone. You kind of peek up slightly upward to glance at the info if you need, right? Real quick. However, some of the things that they did address was how certain heads-up displays can be unreadable in sunlight, but this company, and also iLights from the France company that they partner with, they taking care of that. So it's a projection that's carried out via nano OLED display. And everything remains readable in full HD resolution. So the helmet is called the GT Air 3 Smart.
Like this is the third generation now. Yeah, so now it's like that full display.
You should get over 10 hours of battery life with it. All right. So, nice. And honestly, I think that's a win for helmets, a win for motorcyclists, and and also just a win for tech, right? We're seeing more and more use cases of augmented reality in things like this, but also very, very beneficial for, they're very practical use cases, right? Now, I will say one thing I would like to see from a future standpoint, this would be really, really cool to see how maybe Android XR can integrate with something like this, right? I don't think it should be overly complicated. You're riding a motorcycle, and obviously your attention needs to be on the road. So things like calls, speed, and the time and even weather conditions I think may pop up on here is very beneficial. So I think this thing is amazing.
Yeah,
But
man, it looks
yeah,
like a video game UI for sure. And also, supposedly they solved like the focal distance like issue. You know what I mean? So you don't have to try to refocus on looking at something that's in the corner and everything like that. Because there's been like different versions of HUD, but the way that they implemented it with AR is kind of like really in their environment and everything like that. They're claiming, and this is reported directly from Shoei, that it reduces reaction time by 32%. Of things of that nature and everything like that. We'll see. Definitely for motorcyclists, our bikers, riders, whatever the case is that are out there, definitely let us know your feedback on what you kind of think about that. Because I mean, it's cool tech, but when it comes to the actual consumers, they have to, be the ones that.
even just to add a layer, for those consumers, this helmet, the GT Air 3 Smart, comes in at a whopping 1,199. If you're willing to spend almost $1,200 on a helmet, of course, it has all of the safety features that it comes with Shoei helmets. And now we're just adding that tech. Of course, you're paying for that tech. $1,200, I think, is pretty sweet. And if you ride motorcycles, let us know if you're interested in something like this. Is like I said, is the world's first. Now the price may change over time because that tech may be duplicated rather quickly. There may be partnerships that go out as well. So yeah.
Yeah, man, I think it'd be cool. Have your little fighter pilot HUD and also the integration, I believe, like with one of the LLM models. Or it might be with Siri that, you can say, I need gas and it'll plot like in the AR, like where you need to go and everything like that. So I'm a big fan of like the HUDs and then definitely with augmented reality, as you both know. I mean, we are, Deuce and I have a couple patents in that space anyway. So now that AR is really starting to get a lot of shine, I'm loving to see the different use cases that's starting to come to light. So yeah, I'm a fan. Can't wait to kind of see what people say about these types of helmets as they progress.
Absolutely. All right, man. What else is? You wanna go straight to the Gemini 3, or what we thinking?
Yeah, man, we got to touch on that. So, of course, I'm sure you guys have heard by now, Gemini released their latest model, Gemini 3 Pro. You have both a fast and their thinking model. And I mean, it's just blown everything out of the water. We won't necessarily go over benchmarks here. Definitely check out Matthew Berman or Matt Wolf or some of the other channels that go over a full list of the benchmarks and everything. But needless to say, I think it blew out every other model that was out there on X. I think Sam Altman, definitely congratulated Google, said, quote, something like, it looks like a good model, something along those lines. Elon Musk, said congrats as well on the release and everything like that. But I've used it a lot extensively, and it's really good. And also Nano Banana 2, as I would like to call it, but I think they're calling it Nano Banana Pro. Use that as well. Just to stick on Gemini for a bit, like I'll put it like this, Deuce. I don't know if you remember when ChatGPT went from 4.0 to 5, and a lot of people kind of didn't feel like it was this conversational and it didn't still have that kind of like conversational flow to it. Like it lost a little bit of personality. The one thing about Gemini is going from 2.5 to 3, like of course it has all these coding capabilities and all these other things
That's
as
right.
well, and definitely more agentic, but it's also, to me, it kind of kept some of its personality. Like it still kind of seems like I'm talking to Gemini versus talking to Claude or any of the other major LLMs that are out there. So I think they really did a good job kind of with keeping that same temperature or warmness, of the model, basically. So I like it. What about you? You played around with it much?
I have not got a chance to play around with it much, but I definitely will. I have some projects that I have very coming very, very soon that I will test this out because if you think about it, right, we'll say Google has far surpassed a lot of benchmarks as far as what they've been doing, especially now that Gemini 3 is
Hmm.
here. They are making competition extremely tough. We know OpenAI has really unlocked a big lion's share of the market. However, we know Google is Google, or their parent company, we should say Alphabet. They are, you can say, a conglomerate in the tech game, and they're going to come with it, right? So I think they really
Yeah.
have. Nana Banana Pro has really upped their game again. It's almost like they're just out there competing with themselves. Gemini 3, same thing. And I think the level of precision and studio quality that the changes that they brought to it that it brings is really, really great. I mean, I have gotten a chance to use a little bit of Gemini 3, but Nano Banana Pro, I have some projects that I will be using it for. So let us know what you guys may or may not use Gemini 3 for, and or Nano Banana Pro or Nano Banana 2.
Yeah, and the cool thing is they have it available for, free for everybody. I don't know if it's on a limited capacity, how much you can use that. Of course, you can upgrade to the Pro or the Ultra. Ultra's pretty expensive, but to be able to leverage Gemini Pro 3, like Google calls it their most intelligent model, obviously, but it is really, really sharp. So if you're developers like Deuce, for your fellow developers, I mean, like its coding capabilities are just unmatched right now. I don't even think Claude 4.5, which was like, their model, which I said was definitely up there. And if you go to the LM arena, like a lot of them were kind of neck and neck. And then Google's model, it's just, I think it's leading literally everything on the LM arena, if I'm not mistaken. I'll check that out. But I mean, like it's very solid sound. So for, different use cases that you want to look up, if you wanted to, I mean, any kind of practical things that you would like for it to do, it's just really solid now. And then there was also some updates. I think since it updated across Google's full suite of things, like even Notebook LM now can build you a slideshow. And I think they use some of that reasoning and thinking in the background. And going back to Nano Banana 2, or as I like to call it, Nano Banana Pro, now it's reasoning. So it's one of the very first reasoning image models. So basically, like when you give it a prompt and you want it to create some kind of image, it really thinks through, and apparently like it's really looking at what it's creating as it kind of drafts that to make sure it's like checking itself out and everything like that, which is really solid. And then with Gemini Pro, it can actually watch video. So one of the use cases that you can see is like if you're a coach of a youth sports team or something like that, you can have one of your athletes take a video of themselves, maybe swinging a golf club or throwing a football or playing basketball for a little bit. You can put that into Gemini 3 and it'll actually look at the entire video and give them feedback based off of like, different things, and it'll show timestamps and everything like that. So imagine, Deuce, the competitive advantage now, like teams
Man,
might be using Gemini to like saying, hey, to do their scouting reports or to do like reports on like what you need to be doing and all these other things, are just like looking at film. When they say that is like having AI kind of be, and which is crazy. A couple months ago, Deuce, you remember we covered that company that did that for the boxing match, right? I can't remember which one it is. We'll find the link, put it down below. But there was a company that was like specializing in this, and now here Google comes with their approach, and maybe that's something that will need some comparison before. But it is pretty cool with these tools that are coming out and how we can leverage them with just a vast amount of use cases.
I mean, speaking of the tools, of course, with Gemini 3 coming out and the capability that Google has provided with coding, right? I don't know if you saw, but they also just dropped anti-gravity.
Yep.
And, their anti-gravity is the new era of AI assisted software development, right? And it
Yeah.
navigates across terminal, editor, browser. It's like the new IDE wave of how to code. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
because you
don't,
remember got people from Windsurf, right? So apparently, like it's
yeah.
kind of like
And
like that, kind of
I
like
don't
that.
know if
Yeah,
Claude can even keep up anymore because it's really out of this world of how it's structured as far as being agentic coding and
yeah.
really being able to manage things. This really goes to show how, I guess, say easy for, agentic coder can look, and it's amazing. So I know I personally have some projects, like I said, I'm going to use for Nano Banana Pro, but I have some coding projects. I may start with using anti-gravity as well.
Yeah, man. Anti-gravity seems super solid. I'm interested, in all of those and like comparing with those. So definitely in the developer community, let us know like what you're thinking about some of the latest tools. I love watching Fireship because, he's always just like, this is just another VS Code fork of this or that or whatever the case is. Anti-gravity's kind of capabilities and everything like that. There's been a bunch of YouTubers that show using anti-gravity basically, and just like they're saying it's very competent to build apps and all these things. And honestly, I mean, it has me looking like, I want to play around with it a lot more. I use, a lot of different models, but I think going back to what we were talking about before, Deuce, it sounds like Google and Gemini, their suite of models and all these capabilities, they're becoming maybe. And of course, we'd have to look at the numbers and everything like that, but it just feels like they're the consumer model of choice. I still think that Claude probably really has enterprise and everything like that because a lot of people use
Of
that via the
course. Yeah.
API. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then OpenAI, of course, and Microsoft, like with that partnership, that's covering a lot of enterprise also. And, because it's like if you count in the Microsoft ecosystem with Copilot and, that the models from OpenAI are kind of back in there, like, and then let alone with OpenAI as just direct consumer market, like that seems to cover a lot of ground too. But I just love the competition, man, because, it seems like we win, like very competent models that are coming out right now. And just think, I mean, we're just 3 iterations in. This is Gemini 3, right?
Right.
Imagine Gemini 6.
All I know is the way Google has really put a lot of pressure on the market, right, in terms of how fast they're catching up in the AI realm,
Yeah.
but not just, everything. It's the agentic stuff, right? It's the coding, it's the image creation, video creation, right? And I want to say that there was a partnership with Nano Banana and Higgs Field AI that they have some type of partnership going, which if you can imagine, we talked about Higgs Field AI
We
a
did,
little
yeah.
while ago, where, Hollywood was they're trying to put 80 billion down into Higgs Field.
Yeah,
And
man. They're
if you
dropping it.
think about what the Higgs Field AI has been doing, the partnership with Nano Banana, and Google has been shot themselves up light years ahead of anything, and they're not stopping, right? We can see, we even seen Sam Altman. There's an article going out of an internal doc he had sent out, or internal memo he
Reportedly.
sent
Yep.
out to
Reportedly, yep.
OpenAI saying, like, hey, the way Google's success has really been tracking, they're creating some economic headwinds for our company. And this is a huge rivalry that's going on internally. We've talked about, a lot of the rivalries in the AI arms race, right, that I like to call it, that I really think is going to be interesting what next year is going to be. Like, we're coming up on the end of this year, 2025, right? And it has been a wild ride for this year because what we got 2 new versions of Gemini this year alone. Nano Banana came out amongst other things. 2026 is going to be one in the AI race.
I think
It's
now they released 2.5 around this time last year. They've had like minor upgrades and everything, but you're right. You said it a couple episodes. We don't seem like we're slowing down, right? It seems like they are keeping pace. Like all this competition that's going on is definitely keeping pace. I think you was right about that. I'm still
now I
waiting to
will
see
say
before the
this.
end of the year.
What I have been saying, this is just my deuces 2 cents.
Here we go. Here we go.
Every time, whether it's Google, whether it's Claude, no matter who it is that drops some new heat, like I had a professor, he's called this the new hotness. Whatever new hotness is out, OpenAI got something up their sleeve. In the
Yeah.
next week or so, I guarantee you heard it here first. They're going to drop something and we're going to be like, it's going to blow the doors
I don't
wide
know,
open.
man. They try to get ahead of. They dropped that 5.1, which is solid, and they gave him more
Hey,
personality again and
it doesn't
everything like
matter. Remember last year around this time, they had the 12 days of, what was it?
Oh,
Shipments?
shipments. Yeah, they
12 days of
did.
shipments.
They
Right.
did have that.
So you don't think that might be a yearly thing? I guarantee you, like I said, you heard it here
Hey,
first. OpenAI
maybe.
got something up their sleeve.
Well, we'll revisit this if you're right. Maybe they'll do
Look,
another
look, like
12
I
day
said,
shipments.
you
Yeah,
look, they got
you
something up
heard
their sleeve.
it.
I guarantee it.
We'll
Hey,
see. I
OpenAI, if
don't
you
know,
do,
man.
look, cut me a little
Yeah,
slack.
tell me a little. I'm just saying that, like Gemini, like Google. I mean, they're just. I'm kind of agnostic, right? Like I like the Gemini suite of products and what it's doing. I like where the OpenAI is doing. I've even tried Grok, like in its platform and everything like that, because I've really found that Grok is like because the tie into X or Twitter or whatever the case is, dude, since it's like the most recent news that comes out up to the date. Like it's very like if that one it's up there with Perplexity as far as for like if you want to find out something that's trending like right now, today, something,
Mm-mm.
all those things. And I'm sure it has, other capabilities that are great also. But like I'm just saying, all this competition is just really good. It's hard to kind of keep up with all the things that are going on. But it's just, it's definitely exciting and it's definitely a time. But that leads us into our next thing as well. As we're talking about Gemini, Google, and all this other stuff, reportedly it's been saying, and we've said this before, but it seems like it might be coming really happening, is that Apple seems to be partnering with Google to use Gemini with Siri, like I guess on the back end of Siri, because they just couldn't
That's
get their
right.
Apple
Oh,
intelligence off the
we know
ground.
Apple Intelligence was not it, bro. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry.
mean, I mean, and I know they tried, but they were just,
They
they're also a little
tried.
bit later.
We'll give them an A plus for effort. That's
I didn't
it.
get my Apple car like I was looking for, like the Apple car. For me, as long as Siri's confident, like, because my wife uses an Android, we used to, I usually keep both platforms around because I respect both mobile platforms. I don't hate on either one of them. But the whole point is just like, it is a lot easier for her to invoke Gemini and ask it some questions, and it really comes with some competent answers and like really helps out versus like, Siri is just not there yet. So for the iPhone users, I don't think maybe they won't even care. They just want something that'll answer, a question easy for them. So we'll see how it is. If y'all have any issues with that, definitely let us know in the chat.
What I'd be interested to see, right? This is something that interests me. And this is kind of similar, but a little bit offside. This is more on the Google side. I want to
Yeah.
see Gemini get integrated or updated on the current Google Homes or
Oh yeah, that they
not
have that.
Google
They've
Homes. What is it?
announced.
I know it's announced, but I need it. I was
Oh,
talking to my
me too.
Google. I was
And
talking to my
it's
Google the
not the
other day,
same.
and it's
Yeah.
like I don't know what that means. I said,
It
Google,
always
I
says that.
know
It's like
you
I don't
know
know
what I'm saying
exactly.
because
I'm
in
like, where's
Gemini, if I
Gemini at?
access to Gemini,
Gemini's gonna
Gemini
give me an
knows.
answer. Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I need the updates. Google.
Thought they were going to tie it into a hardware change. So I was thinking like maybe they're going to make everybody upgrade their hardware, like releasing new ones. But I believe when we were looking at it and what was
Yeah,
reported is that it'll work on existing devices. So
it
you would
should.
think that they would just like
But
let
you
it
know
go,
what? There still might be a cutoff on those existing devices because I still have an older legacy Google Home.
like a Gen 1.
Yeah. Whereas,
Mm,
now they're all Nest Audios or Nest Homes or whatever.
I can't remember. I know they have V2 for sure because you're right.
Yeah,
They
so it's
did. They went from
V2s.
like the Google
So,
Home to the Nest Home or
yeah,
whatever.
so
Yeah.
I have an original Google Home, which still works just fine. However, they may still have a cutoff on what you can update. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. And the main mix on that, though, honestly, is because what Apple's trying to do, their focus, of course, is on privacy, which I appreciate. And so the differentiator, what they're saying is basically you're going to be able to use Gemini models to back, via Siri and all those things, but it'll be backed and ran on their private cloud. So remember their big
Oh,
private cloud that they talked
right.
about. So
Yep.
basically what they're saying is it's like you're paying a premium for privacy because there won't be training models on the back end and all those other things. So now Apple's approach is still privacy. They're leaning into that. I mean, I think a lot of people, at least in the, information security realm, information assurance and all those other stuff, cybersecurity, all those things, they appreciate that fact, right? That, it's privacy. And like typically from what I've seen, if you ask somebody in that sector, a lot of them have iPhones, and they, because of, whatever those reasons are, if it's security and just, less vulnerabilities and all the things, that'll probably branch off into a whole nother debate and conversation, which I don't mind which device people have. It really doesn't matter to me. But the whole point is just like, I've heard,
Absolutely.
that's kind of one of the reasons why they kind of stick to that platforms. Either way, if that's what they want to lean into and really flex on, it'll be interesting to see how the market reacts to that. Like if they're going to be like, hey, well, I would rather run on Apple's cloud. And I do trust and believe, that's the best way to kind of do it. So really interesting, kind of thing. And I don't know if consumers even care because, a lot of people are using Gemini every day. I mean, they're using it. But some people I know for sure would care and they really, think about those things. So
I am open to all of the things, but however, I am becoming more, like I said, more accustomed to that Gemini platform, and I really, really like some of the answers. You know what I've started doing? I've started just comparing my prompts. Rather, I use a certain tool. I mean, put the same exact prompt in and see what answers I
yeah.
get, how they differ, right? And I've just been kind of leaning towards Gemini a lot of things. So it's just been,
Well, that's why
I
they're
feel like
winning the leaderboard right
and I think that I was at first, very, very heavy on, OpenAI and
now.
ChatGPT, but I feel like of
Yeah.
late, and obviously speaking based on, some of the stats that's out there, Gemini has been really, really proven to be great. And I mean, at my core, I'm a Google fanboy.
Y'all heard it. Don't let him walk that back either. Y'all heard it. Yeah, you heard
I won't
it.
walk that back. I've
Don't walk
had,
it.
a bunch of opportunities with Google as a company to see how they interact. And I've been a fan as much stress that they put me through with their products sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think all in all,
Stadia.
like,
Just say it. Just say it. Stadia.
man,
They
listen,
should have kept it live.
that's just the tip of the
That's a sore
iceberg.
spot. I know, yeah, you're right. You're right. They do have the
You
graveyard,
know what I'm
but
saying?
the thing I mean I like about it, I like them too, like you said, like you as well, Deuce. But it's just like, man, it's like they have so many products in that product graveyard, and maybe that's just good product management, and
It's
they have like a threshold. If they don't break that, if they don't get their
it's
KPIs right,
crazy.
their success criteria, they're just like, hey, we're not moving forward with this product. But like, yeah, some of them I just feel like, man, like they just let go of that too soon. But yeah, I digress, man.
Especially for, our subscribers, I want to bring out some things that, can be beneficial to you, tools that are beneficial. And these are actually tools, like me and DJ said, these are tools we both use. Like I said, I'm using all the tools
Daily,
to see
daily,
to see what's best suits me for whatever needs.
yeah.
That's why I'll go put a prompt in Chat GPT. I'll put a prompt in Claude. I'll put a prompt in Gemini. What's going to give me the most desirable response, but also the most real response, right? And I think that's important, especially when you're looking for products to use, and how to use them in certain ways.
Yeah, so our recommendation right now sounds like we're both on the Gemini 3 Pro train for right now today.
I'm pro
Until the
Gemini.
shipments happens, Deuce proclaimed that there's gonna be
I told
shipments. He
you,
must
hey,
have somebody over
shipments.
there. They've opened the house. So if you gotta connect over there,
Listen,
you gotta let us know ahead of time. You
hey,
gotta
look, I'm
disclose
telling
that,
you right
If
now.
you know something we
Look,
don't know, you need to disclose that.
man, if I was a betting man, I'm gonna tell you every time that somebody, it is not always Google, but somebody drops something big and they shoot up on the leaderboard. What was that one that came out earlier this year? Was it earlier this year or late last year? The one from China, I can't think of the name right now. Oh no,
Deep
DeepSeek.
Seek. Deep
Yeah,
Seek. Yeah,
DeepSeek.
Deep Seek
And when
R1.
DeepSeek
Yeah,
dropped,
that came
right?
out.
DeepSeek R1 came out. It was real big. Like I'm talking, it shook the core, right? And then I forget what it was that OpenAI dropped right after that. I
I think
mean,
it was GPT-5. I want to say it
yeah, I
was
was saying,
like I mean, I
no, I
don't
don't think it
remember
was
right
that.
after that, but
It wasn't right after that. That wasn't GPT-5. It was something else. But even still, right? Every time somebody drops some, OpenAI got something up their sleeve. Be like, all right, watch this.
they
We just
do.
waiting to
Well, I
drop.
put it.
They waiting to drop.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
They
One thing I'll
waiting to
say
drop.
to all the subs that are out there, as of today, right now on the LM Arena, Gemini 3 Pro is at the top when it comes to the text model, so the LLM. So if you go there, you ask questions, and it does like a blind test with these different models. In second place, Deuce is Grok 4.1 Thinking. I'm telling you, y'all are sleeping on Grok. Try that out. And then in third place is Grok 4.1, which I guess is just their non-thinking model. And then in fourth place is GPT 5.1 High. And then even in fifth place is Gemini 2.5 Pro, which is crazy because you still have the Claude models and 4.5 preview, but that goes down. But the top five, Gemini has two, 1 and 5, but the fifth place is their older model, which is just it's just wild. So Gemini 3 Pro is winning. The web dev Gemini is winning again, and second place is GPT 5.1 medium, and then text to image right now. Guess what? Gemini 3 Pro image preview, aka Nano Banana Pro, is in first place. If we go text
That's
to video,
crazy.
I'll give you one guess. VO 3.1 audio is the first one. VO has the top three in the text to video. It's their 3.1 audio, 3.1 fast
And guess
audio, and
what?
then three
You remember
fast
what I
audio.
said? Nano Banana and I think Veo 3 or Veo 2 has been partnered with Higgsfield AI.
No, you're right. VO 3.1 is their latest. You're right. And then Sora 2 Pro is in fourth as it is right now. But here's the thing. I think so. If they're on the same cadence because they go like every 6 months, I want to say or so, 5 to 6 months for a VO, we should be getting VO 4, Deuce. And that might compete with Sora 2, which VO 3.1 is already kind of winning in that space. So I want to see how that's like. I hope they do. Google, if you listen, please do a dedicated app. Allow, the 9 by 16 native in that app.
Okay,
And,
if Google
even
did a dedicated app, and we talked about how Sora 2, when they dropped OpenAI dropped that app, it's going
we
to
were
shake
on
up
there like
things.
day one, Deuce.
Right?
You and
No,
I
but the
was
thing
on
is,
there.
if Google, if they did a dedicated app, they'd really change the game. Because think about it, Google's been trying to have a social app for a long time, right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Remember they had, was it Google Plus?
Google Plus,
Yeah, way back in the day. Yeah.
and there was something else they had, right? They've been trying to get into that market, and if they are able to tap in with better videos in Sora, now Sora has been making waves, but because we see a lot of those videos shared from Sora to
Yeah.
other platforms, right? Just shared out. But I mean, not to go down the rabbit hole of Sora thing I've seen with people even trying to hide the watermark and everything, saying this is Sora or try to hide that it's AI. It'll be very interesting if Google dropped the standalone
Yeah.
app, and I'm gonna just leave it at that.
I'm hoping if they drop a standalone app, just from my, because like I just think it's a lot easier to deal with. Like you have an app, you can like Sora 2, Deuce. Like when we had that, like you can just go in there, kind of ideate. And and let's not sleep on Meta AI. I use that also. Like Meta AI, I like that they have a standalone app for that, and they may do some integration into one app because I know maintenance on different apps.
Meta AI eventually they'll probably integrate with Instagram.
They might, yeah. So I mean, maybe they're trying to
I
try it out
bet
right
you they
now, but
will.
they might, but I think it's solid. Like I like it, and I really like their vibes approach to it. It's a little bit different than Sora, but like it's more like artistic and everything like that. Some good music behind it, so I really like their approach that they're taking with that, which is pretty cool. And I think it makes sense for their platforms. And then Sora is just kind of like a whole different vibe and everything like
Sora's
that.
a
And it's
wild,
funny
wild west.
because Sora asks you, is just like it doesn't ask like was the last video good or bad or quality. It just says
It's like,
something
did
about
you
your
improve
mood,
your
like.
mood?
Yeah, did
Did
you
this
improve
improve
your
your mood?
mood? Like that's literally like, what it's about. So it's
They
just
don't
very
ask you
interesting where
how
we're at.
does how do you what do you think of this app? How would you rate it? No, did this improve your mood?
No, they said did it improve your mood and thumbs up, thumb down, and that's their approach to it. So yeah, I mean we had a
Like I
lot
said,
of
we have been on Sora since day one. If you guys are interested in
yes.
getting on Sora, we still have some invite codes, or I think it's open now. I want to say, but let
Yeah, it
us know.
might be open. We still
It might be
if you
open.
on I'm not sure which country that it's available on yet, depending on where you're watching this at and everything like that. But definitely you can look at that. But yeah, a lot of good things new that's in tech that's coming out. Anything else you got, Deuce?
I don't think enough to bite and chew on. So for
For
those who are
sure.
listening, we want to remind y'all, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share.